Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Wednesday night edition of Inside the Headset. We're live and on the air. My sponsor tonight is John Jones, John Jones Real Estate. Nobody sells homes like John. We're going to start it off, and we can't thank you enough for joining us. We're into week 4. Game 4 is quickly upon us. Guy I'm going to talk to has only played 3 games, but he is 3-0. No, he's 2-0, right? You're 2-0.
2-0.
2-0. You've only played 2 games. But anyway, he's played Chilton County, and he started off with McAdory. He beat both of them. He got away from Chilton County last Friday night, 48-13. But he catches Spain Park at home. Both teams are 2-0, and we bring live and on the air the head coach of the Helena Huskies, head coach Richie Busby. How you doing tonight, Coach?
I'm doing well, Stork. How are you?
Well, long introduction, but you know me and everything. But how you doing? How's everything going in Alabama? Weather's broke a little bit.
Everything's good. It's starting to push in now. The wind's kind of been up all day, and I think rain's expected later tonight and all day tomorrow. So, but hoping it'll be out of here by Friday. But I've just looked at the weather, and it looks like we're still going to have about a 50% chance Friday, which may help us a little bit, maybe, in the game because they have a really talented quarterback that's committed to Clemson.
Well, and that's what I was talking to Coach Kreisky about. I mean, in this instance, even if it's wind and it's rain and you're out there and you're trying to execute, you're going to try to do things that are simple. You're not going to try to get too crazy, are you, Coach?
That's correct, and with them, it's kind of a double-edged sword. They like I said, the quarterback's committed to Clemson, and then they've got an FSU committed tailback. So, I say that, and I really don't. It's they're really talented. They have dropped down from the 7A, which is our largest classification, into 6A, and they've got players all over the field, and they've been used to playing at the highest level in our state. So they really got a good thing going right now, so we're going to have to play our best, and hopefully they can help us out a little bit.
Do you like this Spain Park team? I mean, are they talented? Can they make a run for it? And
I think so. I mean, everybody's listening knows of Hoover High, and they beat them a couple weeks ago. They had a bye week last week, but the week before that they beat Hoover High. So first time since 2015, and I think the year they beat them, then they went to the finals in 7A. So that'll tell you what kind of team they have. I mean, anytime you beat Hoover, you're pretty talented.
Yeah, but do you like this Spain Park game where it rides because you got 2 under you, you're 2-0. It's going to be a good test for you.
Oh, it'll be the ultimate test. This week and the next 3 weeks, we have really got the next 4 weeks. We've got Spain Park and Moody, Oxford, and Benjamin Russell. So these next 4 weeks will tell us a lot about who we are. But at the same time, I mean, all 4 of these teams will probably compete late into the playoffs in their classification. So, but it'll definitely be a big test and answer a lot of questions. And then coming out of that, we have our 3 rivals back-to-back: Pelham, Chelsea, Caleres. The schedule was not set up favorably, but that sometimes you draw your number out of a hat, and you get your schedule, and you get your non-regions, and you go play it.
Well, and you feel like you said, you're going to be tested Friday night, and then that'll tell you a little bit about whether or not you think you can compete with these guys, like you said, when it becomes later on down the road, if you run into them again in a playoff situation, and then you head into your region games and so on and so forth. So, the bandwidth of test, you're looking forward to that, but then again, like you said, it's going to tell you a little bit about it, and then let's talk about Chilton County. What did you learn about your team against Chilton County on the 48-13 win?
Well, sluggish to start, which I kind of expected. I think we might have talked about that some last week after that big emotional win against McAdory and the kind of the way we won it at the end, with it being a really another rival right down the road from us, and for us to win it like that late, and I kind of felt like we may have a little letdown, and I think our kids were looking ahead to this one this week too. So you're kind of sandwiched in there between all that emotion and knowing there's a big game coming up, and not to take anything away from Chilton County, but I think our kids got caught up in that a little bit. We stalled out a couple drives, our little kicker made a 47 or 48-yard field goal, and it was raining. So really pleased with that part of it. But then we, kind of got our feet under us in the second half and put some drives together and scored some points. So, we're going to see what we got Friday night. I hope our kids, I look forward to seeing them compete against what I feel like is a top 5 football team in 6A in Alabama. So we will see.
With the 48-13 win, was you able to get some of your depth in and work those guys? Did you feel like you had some quality time out there with those guys?
We did. We played our backup quarterback a good bit, and we even got our ninth grade third string quarterback in there for a couple snaps. But we did play a lot of people, and that's good. It's just one of those games where it never really rained hard, but it rained and drizzled all night. Just one of those ugly nights that's just, you're just hoping you come out of there obviously winning, but with no injuries and things like that.
Yeah, I think that's where you're headed, and you just mentioned it. You're a young football team. You really just want to, execute on Friday nights. You want them to grow and learn each and every game, but at the same time, you're kind of scared because that other side of the ball. I mean, Spain Park is not going to be friendly when they get up to the line of scrimmage. I have no idea what their front line looks like, but I can only possibly imagine, Coach, it's a nice, they'll all look good in a set of shoulder pads. I'm sure when you flip the video on, Spain Park just looks really good. They protect that quarterback.
They do. They got a big offensive line that I think all 5 of them are back from the year before, and 3 or 4 college-level defensive linemen, and their backups are solid. Them coming down from 7A, and one of the biggest difference between 7 and 6A is that depth when you get into your 2s.
Mm-hmm.
For us, when we get into our 2s, we may be putting a 9th grader or a 10th grader out there, and those 7A schools, when they put a 2 out there, it may be a senior or a junior at worst. So, their depth is going to play a role also, I think. And like I said, this is one of the better teams they've had in 10 years. They're pretty solid everywhere, and they've got quality backups in a lot of areas too.
You mentioned that, and that's just so ironic because the next coach we're going to talk to, Coach Gary Rankin, one of the things he always talked about in the Alcoa game, when he was at Alcoa, they were 3A, had to go over to Maryville, play that classic game, which is one of the oldest rivalries in the state of Tennessee, is the Maryville-Alcoa game. But he always said, I can beat on them, Stork. I can get them third quarter, middle of the third, start of the fourth. But that last 8 minutes, we're in very risky time period because I just don't have the depth that I had. They just don't have the energy they had when we were in the first quarter. They're still good football players. They're just not as crisp as they were. They're losing energy.
Well, that's I always say all the time. I mean, I think some of your skill kids, especially in the second half of the season, you can play those guys both ways. It's those guys up front that are giving maximum effort. You're hoping everybody gives max effort every play, but let's be honest, playing corner when a play's ran away from you is not the same as playing on the defensive line or offensive line every play.
Yep.
Those guys that I worry about, and that's where they've got some really good depth, is up front, where we do not have that, especially offensively. So, yeah, there's no doubt late in games when they've been rolling 2 and 3 deep in and out of there all night long, and you've got the same guys in there, it makes a huge difference.
And Coach Abernathy, who coached at Brentwood Academy, coaches at Knox Bearden now, and he's coached in his career all over. But he always said, if there's 143 plays, Stork, he's going to sit down and rest. I just got to figure out those ones he's going to decide to rest on, and then that's when I need to capitalize. But the problem is I don't know the ones he's going to rest on. But he is going to take a break when you start talking about those cornerbacks or those backs that fire or are trying to rush or all that. They're going to take a break. They can't go. You can't go 143 if you're playing both sides of the ball. No way.
No, you can't, and that's I've got. I mean, cut my teeth, spent most of my years in 3A football, and looking back, I just don't see how some of those guys play, and lots of times they're also playing on special teams. Just that's a hard thing to do. I don't care how great a condition you're in, and obviously you're more susceptible to injury when you're playing both ways. So we have one kid that one of our slot receivers plays in the nickel on defense, but other than that, we don't have anybody that has to play both ways. But we still don't have the quality depth they do. I mean, their backup running back, I think, is committed to South Alabama, and he's a junior, so there's not a lot of drop-off when they go from their first-team running back to their second.
And, that's whether it's Tennessee, Georgia, or Alabama, no matter Florida, it doesn't make any difference. You got a lot of respect for those guys that coach down in that 1A level and are able to, take 21, 28 guys, put them together, and keep them together and keep them healthy and go to the playoffs. Because you don't, you got to do less with more because there ain't no more. You got to learn.
Right. The hardest thing about that level to me, moving up from 3A to 6A, 7A, the hardest thing is practicing at that level. I mean, just the hours you have to be out there to cover everything. And that's what I tell people all the time. I love practicing at this level because you're out there 2 hours max on Tuesday. Of course, we practice in the morning from 6 to 8, so we can't pull the hey, we're going to turn the lights on, be out here all night if we don't get it right. I mean, our kids have got to get showered, eat, and go to school. So, but an hour and 50 minutes, 2 hours, we've covered everything because, you don't have guys playing both sides of the ball. So practice is a lot more enjoyable because you're not out there for three and a half hours.
And so we wrap it up and going to let you go, but that's that game's at Helena at your place, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And, you've been there up on that hill. The wind's blowing. It's wet. We've had a lot of success late in games up on that hill. Funny things seem to happen. So, kind of like I told you, we played McAdoo. If we can stay within striking distance, I always like our team because they seem to have found a way for years now to win games late.
Coach, it's always a pleasure, and to talk to you on the inside the headset. You're always great commentary, and we love the Helena Huskies, and we wish you the best of luck on Friday night in Francine, and hope you get away with a win.
All right, thank you, Stuart. Go Huskies.
Go Huskies.